What's up, everyone? Nameco here, Dustin there. Fantasy football season's around the corner. We're talking about handcuffs, is what we're talking about. And you got and what a handcuff is, if you get a stud running back or a running back that could lose a job to somebody else, you should know who the backup is or the person who's going to take away those touches. Obviously, in all leagues or all in the real NFL, it's not like one running back takes 100% of the carries. There's always some sort of a timeshare. But we like handcuffs that are typically in a one-back system. So if the stud goes down, you have the guy that's going to move right into it. So we're going to go over some lists of those. But first, Dustin.
So Fantasy Jocks, if you haven't checked out that site, get on there, get your belt, get your trophy, get your loser prizes, get your draft kits if you do a live draft. And if you want a chance to win this belt right here, go onto our Facebook page and publicly share our running back video that we posted on there. You have to publicly share it or else we can't see who shared it. So if you've already shared it but you didn't publicly share it, we can't see who you are, so you won't be in the running for that. But we're gonna do a cool thing with giving away this belt. So get on there, share the video, and we will do that just before the season.
All right, as we get into the handcuffs, I'm going to start off with the 49ers situation. And a few weeks ago, it looked like Carlos Hyde was going to outright lose the job to this guy, but now it's looking more like Carlos Hyde is going to be the starter, so there's a lot still up in the air with it, but I'm talking about Joe Williams. You know, he's going around pick 153 right now, San Francisco 49ers. And the thing about Williams, why the hype train started so early, was that Shanahan, it's well known, that Shanahan wanted him, was banging the table to try to get him, and he really feels, yeah, just like that, Dustin, nice and tough guy you are. He really feels like a Tevin Coleman type, so it's also like, well, he could probably fit the system pretty well. Carlos Hyde, has been there a couple years, hasn't really done anything that exciting. But about Williams, the thing that I think why Williams will eventually take over the job personally is I don't think the 49ers are going to be that good, even though we just had an argument about that, so Dustin's insane. And if Carlos Hyde isn't having big play potential, this Williams kid certainly does. His speed is incredible. So pick 153. If you get Hyde, make sure you get him.
I don't think they're going to be good. I think they're going to be playing from behind a lot, and I think that offense will be better because of that for fantasy.
I hear you. I'm still saying you're wrong.
Next, Derrick Henry. Now this is probably, we have him as the top handcuff. The one guy, if you're going to handcuff anyone, he's the biggest one you have to do. So if you draft DeMarco Murray, you have to waste, not necessarily waste, but you have to use a solid pick to get Henry on your team. Right now he's going with about the 85th pick. The reason he's going that high is just because his upside is huge if Murray were to go down. So last year, over 600 total yards, 5 touchdowns for Henry. He looked good. I mean, he's definitely going to be a good running back when he gets his chance, but we don't see any scenario where he doesn't have huge value unless Murray goes down. But it's simple. If you draft Murray, you gotta get Henry.
Next guy I'm going with is Marlin Mac of the Indianapolis Colts, and obviously it's a little bit scary as we're shooting this because of luck and the real news, what's come out, what hasn't. If luck's not there, they're going to be stacking the box, and that's going to hurt the starter, who is Frank Gore. So I don't believe that in any situation that Mac is going to take over this job without an injury to Frank Gore. And at the beginning, a few months ago, I was thinking, I don't really love his NFL talent. I looked at some of the highlights, the footage, it seemed okay. But the more I go to camp, the more I hear about him. The fact that he is pretty versatile does make him interesting. And to me, he is the true number 2 on the depth chart for Frank Gore. I'm not saying you have to get him if you draft Frank Gore, but if you're in deeper leagues or you have a lot of bench spots, I do like pairing the two up because Gore, a little bit long in the tooth, as they say.
He's a little old. Mac's a guy that he's one of those last round guys that I would like to get. Even if I don't have Gore, he's a fun guy, just upside to draft.
ADP 155 right now. Yeah. If you can get him 155, I'm totally cool with that. And you don't have to have Gore to get him either. He could be a stash for that reason.
Yeah, most of these guys, actually all of these guys are worth drafting, even if you don't own the starter. But it's just, if you're going to handcuff anyone, this is our list of the ones that we think are worth handcuffing.
But if you own the starter, note the ADP and maybe move it up around so you can make sure you get him.
Just to be sure. Jamal Williams is next, going out to Green Bay. The reports on Ty Montgomery have been very good, but the one report that's the scariest and the one that could most quickly get him pulled is his blocking. Is that they're saying he's getting better, but that's still his weakest spot. And the reports on Jamal Williams have been positive on the blocking aspect. He was a 4th round pick out of BYU. If Montgomery's in there and he gets Rodgers lit up a couple of times, that could be all that it takes to maybe start having more touches go towards Williams. So he's an interesting guy. I mean, obviously there's going to be value at the Green Bay running back position. It's just a little bit up in the air on who's it going to be. We obviously think Montgomery's the guy, but Williams is certainly someone you're going to want to target if Montgomery's on your team.
Next, I'm going to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and with Le'Veon Bell is going to play, don't worry about that. But the backup to him, we believe, is James Conner. 3rd round pick, local kid, went to Pitt, playing there for the Steelers. Apparently his jersey sales are like unreal in the Pittsburgh area, which I do kind of love. But the thing about him that I think is the most interesting is the fact that with D'Angelo Williams gone, we all saw what the number 2 did when Le'Veon missed games and how good D'Angelo Williams was. And I think this kid is every bit as good as D'Angelo Williams. So to me, if you're spending the 1st or 2nd overall pick on Le'Veon Bell, this kid going as late as 195, I think you have to take. I love him as a handcuff. Steelers clearly have a one-back type system. So Conner to me is, if you're getting Bell, I'm taking Conner. Just note he has already an AC shoulder sprain. He's got some injuries already, so keep that in mind. That's also some of the tricky things about handcuffs, because if they get hurt, they're on your bench, you feel like you need to cut them. So just FYI.
One thing too I want to just throw in there about handcuffs, depending on the depth of the league, you might not need to handcuff, or maybe you only need to handcuff one guy that I mean, it's really hard, no matter what league you're in, to handcuff more than one running back. So just keep that in mind too. You don't have to handcuff these guys. If it's a shallow 10-team league, you have enough running back depth already. But if you're in one of those situations like the Green Bay situation where there's going to be value there, but there's just a little bit of uncertainty, it's not a bad idea to grab both. And that's the same situation going on, we feel, in Seattle with Lacy and Rawls. I know Procise is there too, he's going to factor in, but we really feel like it's between Lacy and Rawls as the guy to own who's going to have the value out there. His ADP is about 140 right now, and he was not himself last year. He did have some flashes where he had a couple of good games. Going back to his rookie year, he looked amazing, averaged 5.6 yards per carry. The reports on him so far have been positive. The latest reports on Lacy are a little scary, so if you're using a decent pick to get Lacy, which you're going to have to do to get him on your team, I would want to have a safety net with that and go ahead and get Rawls just to kind of protect that pick, just because Lacy is going fairly high right now.
But the interesting about Rawls, like, I'm not touching Lacy based on his ADP right now, but I will grab Rawls super late.
Yeah, 140, I mean, with, maybe there's a 10% chance he wins the job outright, even with no Lacy injury. With your 14th round pick, that's worth it.
All right, the last guy I'm talking about is Darren Mcfadden, and obviously that's because of Ezekiel Elliott. The suspension while we're shooting this has not been announced. I don't know if it's going to happen at this point, to be perfectly frank, but who knows. So you're going to be spending a top 3 pick potentially on Zeke. Who's the true handcuff? It looks like it's Mcfadden right now, but the problem is Alfred Morris did look pretty good last year in relief of Zeke as well. So is it a timeshare between the two? So we're putting him in because everybody wants to know who the handcuff is for Zeke because of the suspension. We're leaning towards Mcfadden right now, but it isn't clear cut, and that's what's so tough about the situation for him.
Kareem Hunt's the last handcuff we want to talk about. Going about pick 110 right now. He's a fairly popular pick in fantasy right now. He's a 3rd round rookie out of Toledo, out there with Kansas City. Spencer Ware, he's gonna get the first.
So boring.
I mean, he had some flashes.
Boring.
He looked good at times. And Hunt, we like him, we don't love him, but it's more about that we don't love Ware either. So we think there's a legit chance that Hunt could take over. So we think he's worthy of a handcuff if you're getting Ware. Same deals like Seattle, just to protect that Ware pick, just so that you're certain that you have the KC running back. So
now I think that's very important. I think the Ware Hunt combo is very important for that reason.
So I mean, and keep that in mind on draft day with the people that we think are the best to handcuff, because you probably don't want to get a couple of them on your team, because using 4 roster spots just to secure 2 running back spots it's kind of tough. So maybe keep that in mind and try to only draft one of these guys and then get their handcuff if you feel like handcuff.
And if you only have like a 4 or 5 person bench, it's really tough to handcuff. Just note that. But if you have a 4 or 5 person bench, then you don't need a second tight end or a second quarterback probably.
So that's it. Leave comments in the video. We've been answering all our comments, or trying to answer all the comments on there. Get on to Fantasy Jocks, get onto our Facebook page, like that, share that video publicly, and subscribe to our channel.